I am excited about this next part, of course. It's our keynote address. When I became bishop of the South Central Diocese of the Church of Christ Holiness USA over a year and a half ago, I felt called to lead my denomination into proclaiming the gospel in the public life of our community. I looked around for vehicles of public proclamation of faith in everyday decision making of our communities. And I knew that working together, Jackson and I had begun to hear about an emerging work of the statewide sister effort, Working Together Mississippi. I quickly learned that WTJ and WTM were affiliated with the oldest organizing training institute, the Industrial Areas Foundation. And I learned that there were other organizations like WTJ all over the country and in other countries. I began to hear about my brother, Reverend David K. Brawley of St. Paul's Community Baptist Church in Brooklyn, New York, and our sister organization, the East Brooklyn Congregations. I also learned that Reverend Brawley had reached out to us during the Jackson water crisis and asked if he and EBC could be helpful in gaining resources to help reinvest in our crumbling infrastructure through their relationship to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. He did, and the senator delivered the first $20 million for Jackson and committed to do more, and he has. Listen to this. To date, we have received over $800 million to address this crisis. Yes, give yourselves a hand. On November 13th, I met Reverend Brawley, Chuck Schumer, and the new House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries, and 1,200 EBC leaders in Brooklyn, New York. And on behalf of the WTJ, I thank them for their support of us and our work. And over our 2 days of stay in Brooklyn, I saw how EBC has changed the city for the better. So I am honored and humbled this afternoon to introduce my friend and a friend of Jackson in the person of Reverend David K. Brawley. If y'all would welcome him to the stage, Roy.
Good afternoon. It is a joy to be with you. Thank you so much, Bishop Hill and Bishop Crudup. Thank you for your hospitality. I remember meeting the cohort from Working Together Jackson back in August. And let me just tell you something about Working Together Jackson. We met in August to do a tour of Spring Creek, Nehemiah. And I gave some remarks, and I think I flippantly said, if you ever need me, call me. They looked at me and said, be careful of what you say. And here we are today. Again, my name is David Brawley. I'm the pastor of the St. Paul Community Baptist Church in the East New York section of Brooklyn. I'm also the co-chair of East Brooklyn Congregations and Metro IAF. Working Together Jackson. I've come today to tell you a story. There's a backstory to an announcement that was made back in October 2018. NPR reported that there is the possibility that one block can make all the difference. The title of the article is The American Dream. One block can make all the difference. And this is about the work of Raj Chetty, who is an economics expert who created a tool. And this tool measures how income grows from generation to generation. And with this tool, he was able to determine on one particular block in Brownsville, Brooklyn, where the site of the Nehemiah Homes really is and where it got started. He noted that on one side of the block, there was wealth, but on the other side of the block, there was not. On the one side of the block, he saw Nehemiah Homes. On the other side, he did not. Where there were Nehemiah Homes, The children of those homeowners had doubled the income of their parents. On the other side of the block, those children made the same salaries as their parents. They dug a little bit deeper, and when they did, they discovered this. They discovered that there was wealth on one side of the block and poverty on the other. The very difference was simply this: home ownership. As they began to calculate this impact, they discovered that there was wealth of $1.5 billion in a black and brown community. Now, normally this is when I say, when I'm preaching to my church folk don't know when to shout. But maybe you're not shouting because I need to tell you the backstory. The backstory is simply this. As I was brought to this place to share today, I had an opportunity to tour through some of Jackson and noted the housing situation and crisis here. And it brought to mind that East New York was Jackson 40 years ago. One block makes a difference, but one organization makes all the difference in the world. "40 years ago, leaders got together. They were angry about what they were experiencing and decided to organize. Leaders got together and began to organize institutions to join East Brooklyn congregations. But I want to tell you today that Nehemiah Housing was not the original goal of EBC. It was just simply to build power. And as we built power, we discovered the real solution for our community was Nehemiah Housing, the regeneration of an entire community. What do I mean by regenerating the entire community? Well, we discovered that oftentimes what happens when a community changes, the people that were there during the hard times had to leave. Y'all didn't hear what I said. But what we decided was everybody that was there during the difficult times ought to be there for the prosperity and the regeneration of the community. And let me say this, we never went to elected officials looking for an answer. We always went to elected officials with a solution. I want you to know today that that's where the power really is. The power and creativity and imagination is not really with elected officials. It's really with the people who are most affected, the people who have endured the crisis. And what we did is we organized. We decided that we were going to politicians, elected officials with an answer, and the answer was Nehemiah. One organization saved an entire community. Let me say that one more time. One institution saved an entire community. And I want to tell you today, if we could do it 40 years ago, you can do it today. Let me say that one more time. If we could do it 40 years ago, you can do it today. What does it take? What does it take? It's the slow work of democracy. What does it take? Intentionality. What does it take? It takes imagination. What does it take? The willingness to work and the willingness to fight for what you believe and for what you want. If we did it 40 years ago, you can do it today. Where does imagination come from? Imagination comes from people coming together, just like we're doing today, who ask the question, why not? Why not? Why not? Why can't we have affordable housing in our communities? Why not? Why can't we have services that bring dignity to our citizens in our community? Why not? When you have that kind of curiosity, and then when you have that kind of anger that causes you to want to fight for what you want, you can have what you desire. I want to say this, and then I'll take my seat. one organization made a difference, but I want to tell you the difference that it really made. The difference that it made was there were members of our congregation who were able to move from public housing in New York City to home ownership. Let me tell you the difference that it made. The difference that it made was there are members of our congregation who purchased homes for about $40,000 that are now worth $500,000. Let me just say this one more time. Church folk don't know when to shout. I said there are people in our community, in our church, who purchased a Nehemiah home in the very beginning of our program, and now their homes are worth $500,000. Can I tell you what that means? Can I tell you what that means? That means a family now has the wealth to use that and leverage it to send their children to college. It means poor folk who were once poor now have equity, and they're now able to pass that wealth down intergenerationally. Can I tell you what that means? It means the regeneration of an entire community. It means now we have better supermarkets. It means now we have better schools. It means now we've got better public safety. It means now we've got a better community. A community that was once called the murder capital of the state of New York is now the beloved community. And if we could do it 40 years ago, if we can do it then, you can do it now. Working together, Jackson, you can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Let me tell you how it starts. I'm closing. I'm not supposed to preach. That's not my assignment, but I just want to say, can I tell you how it starts? You got to build the momentum. And can I tell you, each speaker that came up and pledged some money, that was more momentum. $1,000, $3,000, $5,000, $8,000. You're building the momentum you need, because if we can do it then, you can do it now. You're gathered here today, over 500 strong. If we can do it then, you can do it now. Working together, Jackson, there's no stopping you now. And I want to pledge on behalf of Metro IAF, you have a friend. You have a friend in Metro. You have a friend in East Brooklyn congregations. We're going to work with you to raise money, and our relationships are now your relationships. And whatever it takes, we're going to restore dignity to this community and build. Working together, Jackson, arise and build. Nobody can stop you now.
All right. That's all right.